Hey folks, happy Tuesday. Hope everybody's doing well. This video is to show you what a blow-off tube is for. A blow-off tube basically is used for home brewing, and sometimes when you create a mead or a wine or a beer, anything that ferments, it can create a lot of foam. If it creates a lot of foam, it'll make a mess. It'll basically foam up your airlock. To prevent a mess, you make a blow-off tube. It's just a plastic rubber tube. You put it into a stopper and you put the other end of the tube into a mason jar that has water, or any container that has water. And the idea is if there's foam, it'll just go up the tube and into the jar without making a whole mess. But check this out. This is a tea mead. Basically, it's jasmine green tea, hibiscus, cranberry tea in the tea bags. I used 11 tea bags of jasmine tea. I used 1 bag of cranberry hibiscus tea, and then I added a little brown sugar, a little white sugar, and then the rest honey. I brought the gravity reading all the way up, and I added some yeast, and boy, this yeast is really going to town. Check it out. So I don't know how well this will pick it up. I have this in my room. This is a brew shelf that I use. I have reclaimed bottles that I'm using, and this is tea mead. I tried to make only a gallon, but I ended up with more than a gallon, so I have a gallon and basically almost 2 gallons worth. This is a repurposed bottle from Sangria. Great bottle, but you'll see the foam. See all the foam? Look at the So the 1 gallon carboy has more headroom, which is good, so it's not as bad, but you can still see the foam really foamed up. And this is the traditional airlock right here. So if you can imagine this little airlock on top, all of that foam would have come up and it would just get a mess all up in here. It'll foam out these little holes, and then it would drip all the way down the sides. It would cover this whole thing if you didn't know any better. So all you do is you take this little bung, you get a tube, you shove it in one end, run the tube into I'm just using a mason jar here filled with sanitizer halfway. So the end of the tube is in the sanitizer, so no air can get in, but all the gas and foam, if the foam comes up and wants to go through the tube, it can go into this jar. And you'll see I have basically the 2 tubes for both of these are sharing the same container. So sometimes you have to use a bigger container if it's really, wicked, if you have like a 5 gallon ferment going on, but other times just anything is fine. So that's all, just a short sweet video. Blow off tube, what is it, why do you need it, how do you make it? Very cheap. Again, these tubes are for standard siphoning canes. They come in different dimensions. You just find one that fits inside the bung there. So instead of putting the airlock, just put one end of the tube there, other end of the tube in a mason jar filled about maybe halfway full or quarter of the way full with sanitizer solution, and look at the bubbles. Bubbles, bubbles. So this is using D47 Lalvin champagne yeast, and this is going to be about maybe around 14 or 15%. There's Meyer lemon. When I brewed up the tea, I used the tea bags, sliced up a whole Meyer lemon from my tree, let it cool, added the sugar, dissolved it, poured it into the jar, added the honey, shook it up really good. For those brewers out there, my starting gravity reading was around 1.120. So that'll get me around, 14-15% area. If I have to back sweeten, I will. I can always back sweeten with more honey or let it go dry. I usually don't like a dry mead, but again, this is all tea. So we'll see how this turns out, and we'll go from there. So thanks again for tuning in, and I hope to come back with some more videos little by little. Going into October here, the rain should hopefully subside a little bit, and the temperatures are already coming down. I'm trying my best to keep the bees out of the trees because they're expanding really quick. So busy, busy, busy. But take care, y'all, and we'll see you on the next video.